Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Capgemini Intelligent Industry stage here at Hannover Messe 25. We are rolling along here this afternoon, and we have another exciting topic to take you guys through this afternoon. It is on digital enablement of physical and manufacturing, unlocking new value through AI, edge, and smart automation. I have two guests to welcome to the stage here that are going to join me. We got Magnus Åkesson and Borja Tinau. Please join me here. All right, gentlemen, hopefully your Hannover's off to a great success so far.
Indeed.
Fantastic. Well, let's dive right in. So I'm going to start off with an easy one for you guys. What are the key elements to increase the scalability ratio on smart factory transformation? Magnus, how about you lead us with this one?
I think what we've seen for many, many decades is, manufacturing is still a physical world. You go out on any manufacturing floor or factory today, it's like a time machine, even to this day. You will see hundreds of legacy systems, typically they're data silos. You've certified methods to these different processes or systems that are out there on the shop floor. And trying to modernize and innovate on top of that legacy without necessarily interrupting production is still a problem that, for the most part, remains unsolved to this day. There's the culture component of IT and OT convergence and getting IT and OT to work and collaborate together to drive improvement. And we have to keep in mind that for most plant managers, there are what matters to them is safety, quality, and delivery and cost. And digital transformation is not always on that agenda, and linking that too is also another area where I think we have a lot going on. And so I want to ask you, Borja, what can we do about these things?
Sure. I think the first thing we need to understand is the root cause. So why is scaling so difficult? And if you think about companies, how they have grown in their operation, it has grown by waves, which means there are different generations of technology, all of them living together. This is what we call the brownfield. And the organization and the rationalization of the brownfield becomes very tough. So one is, when we are introducing new technologies, new use cases, we need to modernize the architecture in a playground that is very diverse. Different technologies, different requests, and different cultures, as you mentioned. So the first thing we need to do is, what is the playground where we test all these solutions before going into production? So we need, let's say, spaces where we can test this before taking the decision to modernize all this architecture, which is the first step.
Yeah.
If you don't have the right architecture in place, the use cases will never fly. And this is one of the key topics in which you don't scale, right?
Absolutely.
Very helpful, thank you. All right, so then to effectively scale digital manufacturing, leveraging both edge and cloud, we know is crucial. So what does this mean for hyperscalers? Maybe we'll start again with Magnus here.
Well, as I mentioned, manufacturing is a physical process, and there's a lot of things that happen on that factory floor. They're related to safety and process control, and other types of, again, physical processes that really live at the edge. Now, if you really want to scale and drive benefits at a broader pace at an attractive cost. Now, think about what we see with a lot of our customers, for example, which is a batch of one. More variant configuration and the ability to have more flexible and agile manufacturing lines as a result. To do that, you now need to have better real-time control of parameters in your PLCs and your robots, for example.
Got it.
And so imagine a world where every configured order drives a different set of parameters in your robots on the shop floor. And being able to do that real-time at scale across plants. Well, that's where IoT comes in. Industrial DevOps for PLC code, build the code in the cloud, test it in the cloud, simulate these processes using compute in the cloud, use IoT to push it to the edge, but then let the physical process take over. So that's one example where we see a lot of synergies and benefits of making hybrid and edge sort of work and collaborate seamlessly together.
Got it, okay. And to continue on that a little bit, Borja, do you see similarities for end-to-end integration?
Yeah. So I think nowadays, the world in which we are going, there has to be a seamless connection between edge and cloud. And in particular, in manufacturing, because there are other areas where this, let's say, integration is not that clear. So if you look at mobility, probably device to cloud, it's enough. But if you go to operations, you will see that there are extreme use cases which are representing both sides. So if you think about mission critical use cases in which latency is a hard request, you will never compute this out of the edge. But if you think about orchestrating multi-sites, obviously this kind of application needs to be at the cloud. Now, what happens when we are in between, which is most of the cases, okay? We don't have these such hard requests of latency, and we want to save computing power at the edge. We don't want to be too complex on the hardware side. So this is why today you see companies going one edge strategy, one cloud strategy. What is missing and what we are, let's say, highlighting is both worlds need to speak. So it's not cloud for monitoring and edge for action. It's both for monitoring and action, depending in which use case we're standing.
Got it.
Right?
Great. Thank you. All right. As technology evolves fast and the level of integration complexity grows, what, in your view, in the ecosystem is needed to make that happen? Start with you again, Magnus.
I think a lot of it comes down to this idea of interoperability. So even if I walk around the different exhibition sort of halls here, I see a lot of really modern cloud-based technologies that are still designed to operate in silos, to solve for one particular problem, for one particular method. But you have to be able to bring this together into end-to-end processes to be able to drive that holistic transformation on the shop floor. And you gotta, again, find those ways to bring that together using both edge and cloud-based technologies. What is your view?
Yeah. So I think, I mean, the world in which we are going is changing so fast. We see every year, so I've been last year in Hannover Messe, and I already see different solutions coming in. So you cannot first keep up to date. And then if you look at the digital transformation, there are lots of bits and pieces which need to be involved. So from hyperscalers, from vendors, ISVs, from niche companies which are bringing a specific technology, you need to tie all this ecosystem to really be successful. Otherwise, you will be lost in so much customization and updating before you even transform it.
Great,
Yeah?
Thank you. So, what about the future of digital manufacturing? Easy question, right?
Yeah.
What's next? What role will emerging technologies play in that future?
Well, it's hard, of course, it's hard to answer that question without talking about generative AI. But let me tell you why I have a conviction, why generative AI and agentic AI in particular has the potential to democratize automation through machine learning in ways that otherwise would not have been possible. Which is that for the first time, the technology is now enabling cognitive decision-making and behaviors in automation that previously wasn't accessible. So even something as simple as, I don't know if anyone here has ever done material planning and staring at a list of recommendations from a MRP run and trying to take corrective action on exceptions. Do I move my source of supply? Do I run an extra shift? Do I, short the purchase order with a supplier? Like, there's all these cognitive behaviors and automation that is happening in your brain. And this is really where generative AI, and especially the agents that you put on top of it, can now start to automate processes reliably and with human cognition that wasn't previously possible. So it sounds a little dramatic, but I almost think of generative AI as kind of that one sort of threshold, if you will, that we passed across that is driving an era of automation that may be comparable to the invention of the steam engine back in the 1700s. We'll see, but I am optimistic.
Yeah. I think for once I'm not going to talk about Gen AI or AI. So I want to bring one of the topics which is common in the data transformation. Let's talk a little bit about computer vision, because sometimes we need to rethink the way use cases have been plugged. So if you think about computer vision 5 years ago, okay, it was hard as a technology. Why? Because we didn't have the right accuracy in the cameras. We didn't have the right size of the algorithms. So really, you didn't see too much of computer vision. Now let's think about the shift on the technology that we're seeing. So we're moving from sensors to visual. Why? Because sensors are not very reliable. They change, they get decalibrate. There's a lot of problems around sensors. While you see hardware evolution, you can compute in less size, and you see miniaturization of algorithms.
Yeah.
If you combine both, you will see that probably in the coming years, you will see more and more visual detection or process relying on visual more than sensors, okay? Which is, for me, it's a big step because it's probably one of the key elements that will allow us to really get the kind of insights we're expecting from all the operations around.
Very good. Well, very beneficial. I think before we open it up to see if there's any questions, is there anything else that you guys would like to add that we haven't covered so far that I haven't asked you?
Well, from my side, I think we have the opportunity to really bring the long-stand promise to do digital transformation on factories, because right now, I think some companies have already the maturity at the data side, and we have the right equation or the right balance between the digital means to really make it happen. Okay, so we've been working, I think all of us, for the last 10 years, and we've seen technologies growing, but I think we are right now in the maturity point in which we can make it successful.
Very good. All right. Well, gentlemen, I really appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to the future here with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank you.
appreciate it.